Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you all, students? I hope you all are fine, and welcome to our first lecture of computer. And as you all know that we are going to have a, a book of class 9. So let's start with Islamic motivation. What so what is Islamic motivation today? And keep yourself patient by being with those who call upon their Lord in the morning and the evening, seeking his countenance. And let not your eyes pass beyond them, desiring adornments of the worldly life, and do not obey one whose heart we have made heedless of our remembrance, and who follows his desire, and whose affair is ever in neglect. So what does it say? It says that you have to be patient and you have to pray in the morning and the evening, and you have to pay gratitude for whatever the blessings you have in your life right now, and do not fall for the worldly life. And as you all know that this is a temporary life, when we believe that we have to fall for the permanent life. Okay, moving on to the next part. Here are a few questions for you all. This is just for the general knowledge. So, how many of you know in Windows XP what does XP stands for? Okay, I will give you the time. I'm showing you the few questions which you can think. Then I will show you the answers. Second is, which operating system is used in Apple iPhone 6? Most of the students must be knowing about it. Okay, the third is, what is the name given to Android 9.0 version? How many of you are online from mobile phones? Yeah, after this class, kindly check in your settings. Okay, which company has developed Pixel smartphone? Okay, name some famous internet service providers in Pakistan. Right now, we are facing some issues, so this is the most booming industry right now. Okay, XP stands for experience. Operating system used in Apple iPhone 6 is iOS. The name given to Android 9.0 is Pie. Okay, which company has developed Pixel smartphone? Of course, it's Google. The last. Famous internet service providers in Pakistan are PTCL, Natel, Tribe, etc. There are so many others as well. Okay, so the question number 3 was regarding Android version, that is 9.0. So here are the versions of your cell phone, and you must have this in your cell phones. In your settings, you will be able to see. So the latest is of Q, and that is Android 10. So the phone which I have has Android 9.0 version, and you all must have above 4.0. Okay, so let's back to the lecture. That is lecture number 1. Okay, so today is the lecture number 1, so I will keep it as light as possible. What we are going to study in this chapter, here are some of the topics which I have mentioned. First, we are going to have a definition of computer, its characteristics, and the limitations, of course. Then we will move to the history of computer. Then, as we all know, it has types as well, and advantages and impacts of computer. And the last but not the least are the programming languages. Okay, so what do you think? What is a computer? How many of you know what is a computer? Just think about it. It is an electronic device. Next, it processes data at fast speed. Do you agree? Yeah, you must. Yeah, it produces accurate results. How many of you take cell phones instead of your calculators, or instead of some sort of manual calculation, we use mobile phones. But mobile phone is not a type of a computer. It was just given as your for your convenience. But basically, computer is an electronic device which processes data at fast speed and produces accurate results. And as you all know, has become a part of everyday life. And computer doesn't mean that a small box is known as a computer along with its CPU. Computer is simply your mobile phones are also considered as a computer because we can perform every kind of operation. We can operate any kind of machines. Even the robots are actually being monitored or operated through our cell phones. Okay, so what was the difference between the today's computers and the earlier computers? Of course, earlier computers could only process numbers. Why numbers? Because they were just able to perform only numeric calculations. Numeric means the calculations based on numbers. So today's computers are advanced form of calculator. Why? It is also known as advanced form of calculator because it can process alphabetic and alphanumeric data. What do we mean by alphabetic and alphanumeric data? Any guesses? Okay. Alphabetic data means the data which we have in a textual form, means in the form of text, and alphanumeric means in the form of numbers. And yes, it can store huge amount of data. And as we have discussed this point, the device that can process data. What can we process? For example, let us talk about something. How many of you have a blender at your house? What do you do? For example, if you are making a milkshake, what do you do? First, you have to give some input, like for example, sugar, any fruit, milk, etc. Then what we have to do, we have to make a milkshake, so we have to connect it to the electricity board. Then we turn on the blender, then it blends whatever you are making. For example, you are making milkshake, then after blending it, you get a milkshake. So that is the output. What it has done actually, it has processed whatever you have given the input, and it has produced some output. In the same way, computer has also the same capability but on a larger scale. So it is a device that can process alphabetic and alphanumeric data and produce some output. Okay, so how it actually performs, kindly remember what the example I have given. Okay, so it processes numeric data by applying fundamental arithmetic operations. Okay, so if we talk about the numeric data, the numbers, what can be the fundamental arithmetic operations? Any guesses? Yeah, it's addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Now, what is alphabetic and alphanumeric data? Because its processing consists of different operations. For example, if I am working on an Excel sheet and I have to make your results, so it will be more convenient for me to arrange your names in Excel according to your alphabetical order. Then I will simply enter the marks of your particular subjects. Then I will be able to add or finding the average or whatever. I have to perform some actions, then I can easily order your marks. Then I have to concatenate simple means to join. For example, I want to add the marks of first monthly, second monthly, midterm and final, so I will simply concatenate those marks. Okay, so what do you think after this discussion? Who gives this direction to computer for tasks? We, yes, We users, we users provide data and instructions to computer. Since it is a machine and we are the ones who created this computer, so obviously we have to give some data according to our particular conditions, and we have to give some instructions. Instructions means we have to give some direction to the computer to perform particular task. Okay, last but not the least, why we're giving some data and instructions, so that it could process and produce some useful information. Data is something the raw material and information. Okay, I will give you the example here. That for example, if I want to make a chicken kadai, what will I do? I have to give some raw chicken, and I have to give some instructions. Instructions mean that I'm giving some recipe. So after processing, it will be a meaningful dish. So can you be able to imagine what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Okay. So okay. So what do we conclude about the definition of computer? Computer is an electronic device that accepts data and instructions in form of programs as input, processes the data according to given instructions, and produce information as output. Okay, so what do we conclude? How to give input to the computer in the form of data and instructions. And who give these data and instructions to the computer as input? We users give that. Okay, so how does it process the data? It processes the data according to the given instructions. Okay, so how do we get the output? We get useful information and accurate results. Okay, so our next topic is hardware. How many of you have seen any hardware component, or what do you think? What is actually hardware? Maybe you have seen at your homes or in your school or wherever you have seen any hardware component. Okay, let me give you an example. You have seen in your computer labs, you have seen monitors, CPUs, keyboards, mouse, etc., including printer as well. So these are hardware components. Um, so these are the components which you can see and which you can touch. So what we can conclude? We can conclude that the physical or tangible components forming a computer are called hardware. Here, tangible means the components which you can touch. Means you can touch. Okay, it includes not only computer but also cables, connectors, power supply units, and peripheral devices. What are peripheral devices? Peripheral devices are input-output devices which are helpful in giving input to the computer. For example, we give input with the help of keyboard, with the help of mouse, and output devices are printer, monitor. These all are output devices. So these all are collectively called as peripheral devices. So we can see the keyboard, mouse, audio speakers, printers, these all are included in peripheral devices. Can you see the layout of all the hardware components? Yes. These are the components which are actually inside the CPU. Okay, so the next topic is software. What do you mean by software? Software, just like hardware, it has a slight difference that these are the non-physical and non-tangible components. Non-physical means that they do not exist in real life, but they do exist, and which you cannot touch. You can see, new computers, but you cannot touch. So it is not a physical component, right? So what we can conclude that software refers to the programs that instructs the computer what to do. What do you mean by this? What are the programs actually? Programs are a set of instructions which helps the computer, which instructs the computer to perform a particular action or to perform a particular task. Program instructions and data are necessary for making the computer usable. What does it mean? Okay, let me give you an example. Like you have used MS Excel, you have worked on MS Excel in class 7, right? So, what if I want to make a result of class 8? Okay, what I'm going to do, I have to insert the subject marks, individual subject marks of each student, then I have to add them, then I have to find out the average. If I do not apply the sum function or average function on the sum, so how can I find out the useful result? It will be much more difficult for me to just give the necessary data and do not give the particular instruction, so it will take much more time. But regardless of that, if I just add the data and apply the sum function, then apply the average function, it will be easy for me to find out the result quickly. So just like we have discussed, it refers to the non-physical elements of a computer system. You have used some uh, software here, MS Excel you have worked on. You have worked on MS Word as well. And this presentation is on PowerPoint, which you can see. And the rest are just examples of software. So the characteristics of a computer. Before discussing, I would like to ask what are characteristics? Characteristics are basically the traits or the qualities of a computer. You can say, what if I want to define any girl who have a long hair and she had a colored eyes and she also have a long hair. So maybe if she is the most popular girl of your class. So just like the computer, it is a machine and an inanimate object. What do you mean by inanimate? Before discussing inanimate, what is a machine? Basically, machine is something that helps you to perform some tasks. Just like we have a washing machine, we wash our clothes with that. Inanimate means it is a lifeless object. Lifeless in a sense that it is not just like a human being. It has no thinking capability by itself. It has to be operated by a human, and it runs on electrical energy. If I do not provide it electricity, it is not going to turn on. It is made up of electric circuits, means it consists of electric circuits uh, inside it, and it runs on electrical energy. Of course, we have laptops now, but if we talk about a computer, still we need electricity. It is automatic. What do you mean by automatic? Like if I turn on the computer and it has to be, it has to turn on by itself. But what if you turn on the computer? It does not take much time and takes you to the desktop part. So it is automatic. It can manipulate data following specific rules. It do not take much more time. When you give some data, it has to manipulate it, that it has to solve, it has to perform some action. Just like I have given you the example in the previous slide that if I have to work on MS Excel, what I am going to do, I have to provide some data, I have to give some functions and it will perform accordingly. So it can perform arithmetic operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. Just like we humans have a memory, computer has also a memory and it can store whatever we have given. It can store instructions in its memory. We give some instructions, we give some data to the computer So it stored those instructions in its memory. It can perform logical operations. Okay, what are logical operations? Basically, behind some task, we could have some logic. Acha, what if in class I ask you to bring a marker from Hawa Khala? And if she is not present, what would you do? If I ask you, if you meet Hawa Khala uh, right 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 in front of the office, so just ask her to give black marker. And if she is not there, you can ask someone else to give black marker to me. So what will you do? These are the conditions. I have given you some logic that if she is not present there, you can ask someone else to do. In the same way, we have some calculations, we have some arithmetic operations in computer, and behind those operations we have some logic as well. Just like if I ask you to see that bulb, if any bulb is there, so you will definitely ask whether I have to turn on if it is off, and it is turn on. You will ask whether I have to off, whether I have to turn it off. So if it is a daylight, definitely you do not need any light bulb. But if it is a night time, have a uh, you definitely need a light bulb. Just like in foreign countries, they do not turn on or turn off the lights. It has some other reasons, but they have set the time that till the sunlight is there, so their street lights are turned off. As soon as it is the evening time, they will definitely turn on by themselves. So they are working also on logical operations. Okay, so the next topic is the capabilities of a computer. What if I ask you, what are your capabilities? What are your capabilities means, what are your strengths, what you can do, like you can do two or three works at the same time. If you are having this video in your computers or you are watching this, you must be doing something else as well. So the first capability of a computer is speed. It processes data faster than any other machine. Yes, no other machine can perform the operations just like your computer does. Repetitions can perform same task millions of times. What if I ask you to write sorry miss 1,000 times? Definitely after maybe 100, that is a lot more. Maybe after 50 you will say no, I can't write it. I can write it more. So computer can do its task repeatedly, whether you ask it about 1,000 times. Accuracy. If we talk about the accuracy, the high speed processing gives rise to high accuracy result. Means if I want to perform 1,000 calculations at the same time, so it has to give the results in a moment. High speed processing means that it can process faster than any other machine. It can process my data at a very high speed, and not only this, it gives the results near to the accuracy. What if I was giving the values in decimal? You all know that the decimal values definitely do not give us the perfect results, but in computer it considers all the decimal values which are coming in between. What I'm saying, basically, in maths, what you do, you the the value which you are adding. For example, if it is 0.00001, if I am going to add in another decimal value, it is going to be much more smaller than it, the original value. So at that level as well, Computer can give high accuracy results. It can perform logical operations. We have discussed logical operations as well in the previous slide. What do you mean by logical operations? That it can make decisions based on some conditions. Um, the same which I have given in the end, that in foreign countries they have their street lights on whenever there is an evening time. So they have some condition. The condition is, if there is a sunlight, then turn off the lights. If there is no sunlight, then turn on the lights. It can store and recall information. Of course, it can store instruction, information. Just like we work on any file, it saves in it whenever we save it, and whenever we want to retrieve that file, it gives us the results or gives us the file the same way which we have saved. Self-checking means it verifies accuracy of its own work. We do not have to verify, we do not have to again and again calculate. It just verifies, and and the results are very accurate. So we do not have this the problem of checking. Self-operating, it is capable of executing the instructions on its own without human intervention. Intervention means that no other human being is further needed. Just like if we have given some data and instructions at some point, so after that it is going to perform its instructions accordingly. Last but not the least, of course, everyone has a limitation. Since the computer is also made by human, so it has some limitations as well. The first limitation is information generation. Computer cannot generate information on its own. Just like I said that the computer is the computer is created by human, so it cannot generate information on its own. Human is needed there when we need to give data and instructions so that the computer can perform its operations. Correction: the computer cannot correct our instructions. What if I was unable to give the correct instructions? It is not going to interpret it correctly. It has to perform the same which I have given. So if I have given a plus b is equals to c, and I give you the example of 1 plus 2 is equals to 3, and if I was wrong somewhere and I was giving 1 minus 2 is equals to 3, so I have given the wrong instruction, so it is not going to correct it by itself. Decision making: a computer cannot come up with an original decision. Of course, it has no original decision because the original decision was of the users. Okay, so what we are going to do in your copies, you have, first of all you have to make a title page. Also write the first monthly as well. After title page, you have to perform these questions in your book, from your book and into your copy. First is that define the term computer. The definition of computer is given in the slides. You can see from there. Why computer is called advanced form of calculator. We have also discussed why it is called advanced form of calculator. Then what type of data are processed by computer, or also explain how are they processed. Then distinguish between hardware and software with examples. Write down 5 characteristics of computer, define 5 capabilities of computer, and what are the limitations of computer. These are the 7 questions which you have to do in your computer copies. Okay, students, but last but not the least, I would like to say something, that there is a link provided in your description. That is basically the test. It is not a test basically. I'm going to check whether you have watched this video or not, and it will be great if you see this video and try to attempt that short quiz. It is not very difficult quiz. If you have seen this video, so you would be able to perform that very easily.